call the meeting of August 24th to order. If you'll please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Credo?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Kent?
Here.
All right. Didn't get a chance to look and see who was back there, but we will introduce all of our department heads. Representing the senior center is Jessica Ricker. Parks Department is Todd Schaefer. Our fire chief, Andy Frost, will not be at our meeting this evening. He is instructing a firefighter class and will not be able to attend our regular session meeting. Our police chief is Bob Gavalier. Our zoning inspector is Darren Crivelli. Our township administrator and also road superintendent is Mike Dockery. To my immediate right is Kent Carano, trustee. To my immediate left is Steve Kent, trustee. And our favorite fiscal officer is Lori Wolf. And I am Jim Davis, trustee. All right, at this time we'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 10th, 2020.
So moved.
And seconded?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Credo?
Yes. All right, the administrator's report. Mike, anything?
No, I have nothing for the administrator or the road department.
Okay. Chief Gavalier, does he have anything?
I don't even think
You know what?
he's not here.
He may be here shortly. He was doing, he's at his office for a Board of Health meeting,
Oh, okay.
so he may be coming over.
Okay. And if you want to get our zoning inspector,
Okay.
please.
Here.
Darren, our zoning inspector, is with us today, and of course, we have a resolution with some nuisances.
Yeah, I would ask the board to approve a nuisance resolution on Ohio Vice Code 505.87 and declare the following public properties a public nuisance. 12 North Beverly, tree limbs and branches in the stored and exposed manner within the front yard. 4565 Berkey Road, high grass. 354 Dehoff Drive, high grass. 303 Forest Hill Drive, high grass. 3797, 3799 Hunt Mirror, junk and debris at the curb. 224 Idlewood Road, discarded wooden fence stacked at the curb. 604 Notre Dame, high grass. 682 Notre Dame, that's a vacant lot, high grass. 267 Parkgate Avenue, high grass and weeds, junk and debris, and the shrubbery is growing into the public sidewalk. That house is vacant. 1851 South Turner Road. High weeds, junk, litter, and debris front, side, and rear, including a disabled orange Ariens lawn tractor with a flat tire stored in exposed manner at the south side of the garage. An above-ground pool in disrepair with stagnant water to be fully repaired and cleaned or raised. That, trustees, is the house at the corner of New Road and South Turner Road, which we have a wealth of problems with. And unrelated to this nuisance resolution, just FYI for you guys, I sent them a letter today because last year we issued a permit for a back porch that's just hasn't been finished. It looks like it's going to fall off the house. And some work around the dormers in the front overhang over the patio, which we want them to finish that. I copied the building inspector and I hope to get some assistance from him in this. And then last property is 5121 Willow Crest Drive, high grass and weeds.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Credo?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And I don't have anything else.
Darren, if I may ask a question. In reference to this house at New Road, Turner Road,
Yeah.
when we have homes like that request a permit, they begin the job, they don't complete it, this has been an ongoing problem with them. Is there anything that says that you could not issue them a permit? Are you permitted to say, no, I'm not going to issue a permit based on the fact that you've started jobs in the past and have never completed them?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, no, I don't think there's anything in the code that says I can't issue someone a permit if they're deserving of it, but yeah, I would probably not issue them a permit. If they were to come in and say, hey, we want to put an addition on the back,
I want to put up a fence. Although a fence would do
Offense
us a
may be
great,
good-
that would do us a
may be
great
good
deal
for
of
the
good.
neighbors.
Right.
Offense may be good for the neighbors. You know.
Or let's say a shed permit.
Well, yeah, but you want us, once again, though, a shed permit could be good to put that tractor that's
Well,
dismantled.
yes.
Let me explain it like this. Yeah, I would give them a permit if they meet the code. However, at some point, I could step up the enforcement. Now, a permit is good for a year, so they have a year. But this house, and I understand the context of the question. As I told the gentleman who lives there, he chose to buy a house in Austintown at a busy intersection in a really nice neighborhood. We have our standards. We expect him to rise up to those standards. As you're all aware, Mr. Kent may not be aware, but a couple of years ago, we had the police over there, we had the road department over there. I was there for about 3 or 4 hours. We did a massive cleanup, and I put a substantial lien on his property. And in the process of conversation, I told him, this is educational, and the lien, that's your tuition. You need to step it up. But it is what it is. We can just continue to bring enforcements and clean the property and.
You know, Darren, I think that's I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because there's too many people that believe we have the right to do things that, you know, like to kick somebody out or something like that. Now, you made a comment about that he has that permit to build that porch in the back, and he can't do it, but you said you have to go to the building.
Well, I am taking the lead on it. He has been cited in the past. I am taking the lead on it as the zoning inspector. I sent him a letter today, which hopefully he'll receive tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm giving him 20 days. If he doesn't have it done, then what I'll do is I'll file the paperwork. I'll do up the paperwork for a state complaint. Eric will file it, and we'll take him to court. Now, I would like to have some assistance from the building inspector, but if I don't get it, I don't get it. They obviously have a county-wide jurisdiction, and it's a 4x4 porch, but the damn thing looks like it's going to fall off the house. And, you know, the other stuff with the dormers and the front roof coming off, it just needs finished, that's all. It just needs sided. And supposedly he's in construction. So it's a challenge. And yeah, it's not like cumulative. Like, if you guys declare somebody's property a nuisance for high grass, and if we abate it, and the road department goes out and cuts it, we put a lien on the property. But then we start over. It's not like cumulative after 3 times you lose your house or we can evict you. It doesn't work like that. We're a township and we have, you know, I think we adequately utilize the nuisance powers and the zoning powers that we have. But we don't have a magic wand where we can wave and take a property like that and make it better. And I'll tell the residents down there and I'll tell the trustees, the only way that house is going to improve is you need new ownership. Because these people, it's hard to change behaviors. You can cut grass, you can tear down a shed or tear down a detached garage, but you cannot change behaviors. And this is what this is about. It's about behaviors. And when they see nothing's wrong, that's a behavioral issue. And they're not meeting the standards of the community. And if you know a little bit of history, and Eric knows more of history of the family than I do, but we have some other problems in another part of the township with the mother. So
But now,
It is what it
maybe
is.
Mike could answer this too, but all of that is we put the tax things on their property.
yeah.
I mean, are we really, in some of the properties that we have done that, have we received the things back?
Yeah,
when they sell it?
it's my understanding, first off, we put a lien, say, on a vacant home, or even an occupied home. When it goes to sell with a buyer, then that tax duplicate gets cleaned off and we will receive our money. A lot of the demolitions, we just forfeit the money. We send the notice down to the prosecutor when everything's done. I think the lien has to be on for a year before they can put it through lien foreclosure. It'll go to lien foreclosure. It'll end up at the land bank. And the good thing about that is they're hoping to get that property into the hands of the budding property owner so they'll take care of it. Now, there are properties that we demoed, where I would send an email to the prosecutor, because sometimes they look at those and do them on their own. And I said, absolutely do not put this in lien foreclosure, because we will get our money at some point. One of them was the house that we tore down at the corner of Norquest and 46 across from Dairy Queen. I told the prosecutor, we do not want to put this in lien foreclosure because that's a prime property. Another one, West Mahoning Avenue, we tore the
Wait,
house
wait, now
down.
stop, that means that it's a prime property, and it's gonna sell.
Oh, that's going to.
And then we'll get our money back.
Ken,
Okay.
it
And at
did.
closing,
Yeah.
they'll make sure we get our
It
money.
did, so whatever the lien was, 7,000, we got that back. And then another one where I'm just letting the lien ride, or we are letting the lien ride, is the vacant property right next to Carl's Towing. There was a house there we tore down 3-4 years ago. We're not gonna forfeit that lien foreclosure, not on Mahoning Avenue, not next to commercial property. Whatever that demo was, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, we'll get that back. But some of them, like, I've got one in Amberley, which is going through the process right now. And a neighbor says she wants it, so, you know, it is what it is. But it's my understanding too, and fiscal can probably better explain, but I think when we get our tax revenues, I think there's like a little percentage, like 1% was nuisance abatement or something like that. I don't know if it actually breaks it down by the property. Now, I can tell you right now, like this vacant lot on Notre Dame, unless somebody builds a house there, we're not gonna see our money back.
Yeah, it just lists nuisance assessments.
Well, that's all right,
Receiver revenue.
we're doing the favor to the people that live around them.
Yeah, and you wanna know something? The board changed, I think 2 years ago, we started cutting lots again, vacant lots, because for a while we stopped because we just had too many houses. But I tell you what, this is I'm coming up on my 12th year back. This is the best year we've had for vacancies, homes being vacant. This is pretty good considering everything, you know, GM closing, you know, the nonsense going on right now. But we do have vacant homes out there, but it's not like you guys have 40 or 50 a meeting.
Right.
I mean, was it 2 years ago in May, the second meeting, we had 98 properties. So right now, I think our home occupancy rates they've clearly improved. Or the banks are taking better care of the properties, or the neighbors are cutting the grass.
Don't count the banks.
Yeah, I hear it.
Ken, to
Now, if
answer
we
your
just get
question,
everybody to fill out their census, we'd be okay.
Yeah, really,
absolutely.
really.
to answer your question about the revenue, the last time I looked at it, and this was 5 years ago, the only comparison I could make was we received from the auditor that year under nuisance assessments 25% of the total amount that we assessed that year. It did, of course, those properties had nothing to do with the revenue we received, had nothing to do with what we assessed, but that was the only comparison I could make. So if we assessed 100,000, we got 25,000 in revenue that year, but that was like 5 years ago.
Mike, do they like specifically specify which lots that money comes from, or?
I don't think so, Lori. All I remember seeing is nuisance assessments.
Yeah, it just comes up as nuisances.
Yeah, that's all they,
Or demolitions. if there's
yeah,
demolitions.
that's all they tell
And
us.
those are the properties that we give to the bank?
Some of them. Like if a house is occupied, no, we just put a lien on it. But when we do a demolition and you just use your judgment, if you're on whatever street, you think, well, especially if it's a 40, 45 foot wide lot, that lot only holds value now for the neighbors. So we'll forward that to the prosecutor. And just a FYI, Eric at the beginning of the year sent in, we do it like 3 or 4 times a year. We sent the liens in to the auditor, and there were only maybe 5, 6, 8, 10 liens. Of course, now with everything that's going on, we got, you know, I got behind on it. But I just sent from March, April, May, June, July, and August our liens, and I think ballpark was around 34,000. I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Well, we're not gonna get rich on the liens.
No. We just hope, you know, to get the township reimbursed for our costs. I mean, some of those things go beyond the road department. Nottingham, we cleaned a in-ground swimming pool. We removed a front pond and backfilled it, graded it, seeded it. You know, so stuff like that. Now, will we get that back? Absolutely, because that house will eventually sell. I think maybe the owner passed away. I'm not sure, but eventually we'll get that.
Before I came back, you guys raised that amount of money when we cut the grass. because no matter what the circumstances are, at least you get something back to pay for those guys where you did it.
Yeah, and back then, we were doing it just like $60, $70 a lot. There was a comment made by someone who worked for a local institution, we don't cut our properties, we let the township do it.
Sure.
And that's what led to a change.
Yeah, that was a nice change.
That's what a normal
$50
contractor
for
does, 50, $60.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, you don't want us to cut your grass. And, I've worked with people, somebody called and they, you kind of use a little bit of common sense, but, you gotta, if you live in Columbus and you have a house here, the grass grows. Whether the house is occupied or not, the grass grows. If the house isn't occupied, you still gotta cut the grass. And you run into that.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Want to send in our park supervisor, please?
Are our COVID purchased air purifiers, they're not making too much noise, are they?
You almost can't hear them.
Yeah. They're on the middle. Now, if I turn them up full power, you'd hear them.
Now, this is
They're on the middle
not,
one.
this is not just cleaning.
This is not UV, because you can't be in the room when UV's going on. This
Right.
is, it's sucking the air in, and the filter, it's, some say they'll grab the COVID droplets, others say, well, they're not really sure, the filters. But that's the idea behind it, is for the air to come in, the filters to trap the COVID, and then they release the air.
Who changes the filters? They better have a mask.
All right. Our park supervisor, Todd, anything going on at the park right now? Yeah.
Just trying to get caught up and waiting for the governor so we can have our concerts. I don't think the weather looks very promising tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, looks like it's gonna rain for the next 3 days.
Yeah. We got 2 cross-country meets coming up this week, Wednesday and Thursday. And then Monday and Tuesday, I believe, the 13th and 14th. We got another 2 cross-country meets out there at the park, so we're trying to get that out.
Is baseball and softball done?
Yes.
And they're limited by who can show up to watch them, are they not, just like parents?
What we talked about, the reason there's 2 back-to-back days, normally they run 4 races, and they only take 1 day. They do both middle school and both high school. This year what they're doing is, Wednesday they're gonna do the middle school, so there'll only be 2 races. And then Thursday, they'll do the high school, so there'll only be 2 races. But they're still limiting the parents that can come. But by separating the middle school and the high school, that'll help. That'll help out tremendously with the crowd that does show up.
Thank you very much.
That's pretty much all I have. We're
Thank you, sir.
trying to get caught up. I'll welcome a few days of rain.
Good deal, thanks.
Good.
All right, thank you very much.
Nobody else is out there yet.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to fiscal officer. Lori, we had your reports at the last meeting, so we need a motion to approve those reports. The July report submitted to the board at the August 10th, 2020 meeting for the fund status, revenue status, and appropriation status.
So moved.
And second?
Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add, Lori?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, new business, Ohio Liquor Control Division. So we have before us again another Trex license. This is whether to approve an economic development transfer Trex permit to Yosteria LLC, 3649 Canfield Road, Suite Number 1, Austintown Township, Canfield, Ohio, 44406 from Tamarkin Company, permit number 879-0690-0750, permit classes C1, C2. For the record, just so people understand what the Trex is, Austintown only has so many liquor licenses available. However, if a person wishing to open a business in Austintown can provide information to us that they are going to create some economic development in our community from their investment and provide some jobs to our local residents, then we have the opportunity to grant them a liquor license through this economic development transfer form. Yosteria is owned by the Zordich family. If you're not familiar with the Zordiches, it might be because they're Cheney boys. Michael Zordich was a star athlete over there, played at Cheney, went on to Penn State, and then actually played in the NFL. Mylan Zordich was a Youngstown fireman. He's the grandfather of the gentleman applying Alex Zordich. He is the owner. For the record, for the board's information, I know you guys have already seen this, but the total investment of the project is $50,000. There will be 15 jobs created and an estimated sales tax revenue of $2,000 and income tax revenue of estimation of $15,000. Any discussion? All right, so then we would ask at this time for a motion to approve the Trex permit transfer.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
All right. All right, we'll move on at this time to public response. Anyone wishing to speak on camera? Okay,
I think you ought to talk.
Eric, you can stand up right there and just give us your name and address for the record.
Eric Nugent, 5741 Northwest Boulevard, Youngstown. I wasn't going to stand up today. I thought the senior center was going to be represented. There was an article in the paper the other day, and I've gotten several phone calls saying that the governor was going to open the senior centers the 21st of September. I got a couple of calls about that. And ever since then, I can't find any more information about it. Is it true we're going to open the 21st of September?
The governor is going to provide information of the procedures for opening senior centers, and they will be able to open on the 21st. Now, based off of what the governor tells us what those procedures are going to be, we'll determine on whether or not we can open on the 21st. We need to make sure, as a board, that we can follow all the guidelines that the governor has in place. If he says that we've got to have showers available for every senior to take a shower in there, obviously that's something that we couldn't provide. Okay, but and that's obviously not going to be one of the criteria, but I'm just trying to give you an example. So we just need to we got to wait to, just like you, we're waiting to hear what the guidelines are. Once we hear what the guidelines are, we'll take some action and see if we can get everything up to snuff. We think we've done a great job. Jessica and Jim have been working really hard, making sure that there were safeguards in place. We think it's probably the cleanest the center's ever been as far as safety for you guys returning. But like I said, we're in the holding pattern just like you to find out what's going on. But we understand that that place is well missed by a lot of our seniors. So.
Well, I know during this period of time you used the center for the fire department. You installed a shower, washer, dryer, a couple other things. Now that, of course, was not paid with the senior levy.
No.
That paid
No.
with the fire department?
No, that'll
I
comes out.
had that question.
That comes out of the special fund
That-
that we got for the virus.
That actually was paid for through our fire department fund, and then it's like, as Trustee Carano just said, that is reimbursable through the CARES Act money.
And I talked to the Niles Senior Center people, and they run entirely different than we do in Austintown. And they do deliveries of food from the pantry. They have a manager working, a driver working, and a secretary working that keeps in touch with their clients. I found this out, but they don't have any idea about this either, about what the government's going to do. And like I said, I've gotten 5 calls. Why they don't call the center? Because I hear Jesse would take the phone call.
Yeah.
Eric, are you still on the board?
No, I had I had to be off a year,
Oh, that's
and I
right.
did 2 years.
But I assure you, by the time we find out about it and talk to them, then the board will have to meet too and so on. There's a long process. That's what people don't understand. The governor has to come up with the regulations. Then we have to hear about it. Then we have to try to get him. If we can't do what he wants, then we can't open, period. But every time they hear that about the senior center, you're right, they call. They start calling. When is it opening? They want to get in there, I guess.
From what I understand, it's gonna be not full capacity either.
No.
Well, nothing's full capacity.
Yeah.
What do you think percent will be?
Well, everything else is 25, so I would assume that 25%. But how many, when you deal with 25% of what? I mean, on Thursday you have 60 people there. On Monday or Tuesday you have
I think it's
25.
gonna be based off the fire code, the
What's the
fire
capacity of the
RC.
building? That's what it'll be based on.
Yeah, we'd have to see, we'd have to check and see what the capacity of the building is. So, once again, we can sit here and wish, or I should say, guess what the order's gonna be, but we're not quite sure. Like I said, Jessica and Jim have kind of worked on some things as to maybe doing a couple, how do they plan some things? Maybe instead of having one bingo, there will be maybe 2 or 3 bingos, so that it's spread out and gives everybody an opportunity to come and.
But it'd be also, how do you know the capacity when you leave your house? If you're down to 25% capacity, how do you know when you get there, you're gonna get in there?
We're gonna have to go with the regulations of the government.
Whatever they say.
Yeah, whatever they say, that's how we're gonna have to manage it. I'm sure it's gonna be on
And if we can't
us and the
manage it-
senior center.
It's not gonna open.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's
And our
people
fire
signing up for classes and the people that have signed up be the ones that are admitted that day. Once again, that's why we really don't want to say too much because we don't know what the guidelines are. Once we hear what they are, then we'll be able to kind of fine tune Jesse and Jim's plan.
Another thing was asked, called me and asked me this question, and I don't know the answer. But as you know, we have non-residents at the senior center. And that's okay, I was on the board, we approved it, and everything's fine. They're great people, and we welcome. But under the new capacity rule, will there be room for an Austintown resident?
We don't know that.
And another thing that was brought up to me was the Austintown residents aren't gonna get anything back because we weren't open. It's just that way, that money's in limbo. The people, the non-residents, pay dues, and they won't get any money back, or are they getting money back? And when a non-resident asked me, I said, I don't have any idea.
Eric, we don't give money back for the taxes that people pay for the facilities and so on because of the regulations. They still have to, the senior center still has to pay rent. They still have to do all the things that are going on. So obviously the answer to that is no one's getting their money back. As a matter of fact, we're holding our breath to see how much it's going to cost us to remodel it so that we could open it.
Then the other question was asked by the other people. They want to know with a certain capacity, is there going to be a trial period before we leave non-residents to come back to the center? And making sure we have room for the residents?
Well,
Because it is Austintown Senior Center.
Correct. And to answer your question, Eric, I guess that's something that our board is going to have to discuss. The center closed in March, so maybe that it would be something that we can discuss as a board, that maybe we prorate the non-residents through March. And this is just me speaking off the top of my head, I'm not speaking for the board, is that maybe we refund their money for the remainder of the year and the center only be open to Austintown residents through the end of the year. I don't know that. Once again, we've got to wait for the governor to speak, and then once we get those orders, that's something that we as a board can sit down and discuss. And I mean, I kind of think where you're going is that it should be open to Austintown residents first, because it's Austintown taxpayers pay for it, other than a few handful of people that are outside of our community that pay X amount of dollars a month. I understand that. So I guess if you can just tell the people that are calling you, wait patiently with us and just cooperate, cooperate with us and give us some time. And as soon as we get the order, I can guarantee you that we'll sit down and start working on a plan to get it open right away though.
The other thing is, you could tell them to call the center will take these questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you should tell them.
I do tell them.
The only problem is, the only thing about the questions that we can do is take their questions and write them down, because no one can answer anything yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
but
all speculation right
that's
now.
what I told them. I said, these are good questions. Bring it to the trustees beforehand, before we open.
Send them to the
Then they can work
administrator.
on the answers. You're not gonna get the answers right away, you're gonna have to work on it.
Sure.
I understand that. And I'm not here today to make you make any rash decisions or anything. You have to consult with one another, we understand that. But just throw these things to your head,
That's good.
and that's the only thing I'm to do tonight.
I
I wasn't gonna
It's a
stand.
good
up-
question
We
because I'm
appreciate
gonna,
you.
Erica was
We
a good,
appreciate you.
Erica was a good question because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even think of the non-residents
Yeah.
being a factor until you just brought it up, and
You're
that's
very-
now something that's on my radar screen, so that was very well, that was a very,
Well, the question I have.
Well,
is,
point of
I'm
conscience.
5
You're
years
a
in.
conscientious person that was very concerned about the senior center, and people know it, that's why they call you, and I'm glad you're getting the calls and not more getting to us.
I bet
But the
you are.
fact is, matter is, you have to tell everybody, keep watching your television for the governor, so.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I'm interested in Austintown residents, and I do like the other non-residents. I've made a lot of friends with them. They're nice people, and they deserve a shot there also. Just, we gotta figure it out together, how we can include them. I think it's important, because we have some people that are really great people. And we have some residents and myself and other people, they're okay.
You said it, we didn't.
That's all I have to say.
I can tell you, Eric, is that our biggest concern is obviously because of the age factor, that the elderly being a higher propensity to be affected by the virus. Our biggest concern is the safety of the seniors returning there. So we want to make sure, no matter what, that when the governor orders come, that we follow them and that we can sit down and get into them to make sure that when you guys do come back, it's safe. The last thing we want is somebody getting sick.
All right, see, you already know this, but that is a concern that most people that call me, and myself included, I'm 77 years old. I've had,
You jumped out of a plane,
I
a
know.
perfectly good.
I didn't have to fight anything on the way down. This thing's sneaky, this virus is sneaky, you don't know where it's at. But that's all, I told them I would speak tonight, a couple people, and get the
Thank you.
questions to you people. I appreciate your time.
Oh, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I see our fire chief over there, and so he snuck in the door. He was teaching a class, as we told you earlier. So we'll go back to Department of Business. Chief, is there anything you want to add to the fire report?
No, I actually didn't have anything to add this time. I stopped in to see, I apologize for not being here, but just stopped in to see if you guys had anything for me.
No. We have, believe it or not, we appreciate you teaching those classes because we know what you do with our fire guys, so it kind of helps with knowing the guys that are coming up, they're being taught by someone who has the experience. So it's always good to know.
Yeah, you wait until he retires, when our chief here retires, he'll go with his father and there'll be the Frost Academy of Firefighters or something like that. Because they all teach.
Can we buy stock in that university now?
All right. All our crews safe?
Yeah, doing well, yes.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we'll move on to remarks from the board members. Lori, anything you would like to add?
No, I don't have anything at this
All
time.
right. Trustee Kent?
I just want to wish the Falcons good luck, cross-country teams, and the game of the week of next Friday is Fitch versus Boardman. So good luck to the Falcons and Coach Parker on his first season.
Trustee Corral?
Well, I'll tell you what, thank you for you guys telling me about the sports league, because I thought I was going to be able to go to all these places, and now I'm not going to be able to. But we did talk to Gina Cardello, and she's the head of our television place in Austintown schools, and we now know how we can watch it. We'll get that on the air. Now, I'm not going to spend my time talking about the township park and the music. That's your business. But I want to congratulate everybody involved with that, how the backlash came up so much that they shut it down. And I have to thank also Ryan Teaket from the Commissioner of the Board of Health, because he understood why we kept it going, because it was so correct. And hopefully, knock on wood, it will be again. My biggest thing at this point is two things. One, voting is coming up. Now, I'm not talking about Democrats, Republicans, or anything else. The fact of the matter is, we bring this up all the time. We want people in Austintown to vote. When they vote, when the more votes we get, the more power we have to do things for the people in Austintown. On October 6th is going to be the early voting, that you can go down to the Board of Elections to vote. It'll be under certain specifications, but you can do it. But right now, you can apply for the absentee ballot, and you can apply. You can pick up the application on the internet. You could call the Board of Elections, and they'll send you an application. And soon, the Secretary of State is going to be sending it out to all of the people who are registered. Send those things back in, get the ballot, and vote. That all counts. Now, the last thing is that we had a great meeting here of veterans. We always said that Austintown is a veterans community, but we finally sat down with the commanders and some of the other people from each of the American Legion, the VFW, the Korean War veterans, the 9/11, and so on. Because one of the things that we, as trustees, have to worry about are the memorials to all of the people who served in the military, our Veterans Park, and 9/11, and a few other places that we have to take care of. Pretty soon we're going to have all of them that we have to take care of. And it's the greatest thing to be able to talk to each of the organizations to come up with plans. And we're looking forward to finding more people, more organizations in the township to join us. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Ken. All right, so let's just break it down real fast. Fitch is playing Boardman, so you know what that means.
Don't start.
We're going to start right from the get-go.
I want you to run.
Listen, it was a Boardman resident that shut the concerts in the park down, so I'm really pissed. So we have all the more reason to take it out on the football field. So it's Boardman week. So there's a couple of things that we encourage our residents not to do. Don't shop in Boardman. Don't buy gas in Boardman. Don't buy food in Boardman. If you don't have to go to Boardman, don't go to Boardman, okay? We're playing Boardman. It's like Woody Hayes when he went to Michigan. He said he pushed the bus back into Ohio before he stopped to buy gas, okay? So I hope that Coach Parker takes one out of Ryan Day's playbook and he hangs 100 points on Boardman this week. And let's go Falcons, okay?
Wait a minute. That's him now, folks, okay? What are you doing for the weekend? That's him?
Yeah, listen, they can go back to shopping in Boardman after the game's over. But until then, don't do it, all right? Spend your money in Austintown, okay? Obviously, we're talking about governor's orders and everything, and unfortunately, because of that, the crowds are going to be limited at the games. We're not going to be able to attend like we're used to. But I'd just like to wish everybody good luck. Trustee Kent mentioned our cross-country team that's taking place down at the park. All the sports, all the fall sports, good luck. And of course, Coach Parker, good luck in your first game. You know, they always used to say, Ohio State, Michigan, you know, that's the only game that matters. You could go like 1-10, and it didn't matter. So Coach Parker, there's 6 games this year. He can go 1-5. He just has to win the first one. Because you make the playoffs anyway this year, Eric. So it's all good. And then once we get to the playoffs, we sweep in.
We don't use that word Michigan.
No, we don't. The team up north. So, all right. So that's number 1. So number 2, we talked about the cancellation of our fireworks. The fireworks have been canceled. Our concert in the park has been canceled. The parade. Also, Ken Jackiebeck has canceled the Patriots Day event at Quaker Steak and Lube. But I do want to remind everybody the 9/11 Memorial, which takes place at the Memorial Park on Raccoon Road, will take place on Friday, September 11th at 10 a.m. Now, just so everybody knows, because we've done such a good job with our fire department and keeping them segregated so that they are not around one another, too many guys, in the other fire departments across Mahoning County, Chief Frost has brought it to my attention that the fire departments will not be attending the 9/11 memorial. But we do want everybody to know that we are going to remember. That's the big thing about 9/11 is we want to remember those that paid the ultimate sacrifice that day, the police, the fire, the EMTs, and the civilians that day that died on September 11th. So we will be having a memorial at 10 a.m. I'm sure Falcon Media will be there to film it, and we will have that on Falcon Media for you to see. Typically, I would encourage you to come out and be a part of that and remember those on 9/11. But at this time, I'm encouraging you to stay home and watch it on Falcon Media. We want to be able to have a memorial. Pat Conley, as always, has the memorial looking beautiful. Pat does a great job at it.
And his family.
And I was just going to say, you
Oh,
know,
I'm
there's
sorry.
there's not many left in that committee other than Pat's family and Sam Swager, and they do a phenomenal job of keeping the 9/11 memorial looking beautiful. And of course, we want to make sure that we honor Pat as well. I know he doesn't like the recognition, but we want to make sure that we have that memorial. But I would encourage you to stay home, be safe. And we will be attending and having that memorial at 10 a.m. If you do decide to come, that's when it will take place. And we will see you there, or just look on the Falcon Media page and find out when that's going to air. Finally, we'll move on to the concerts in the park. There's a couple people that I want to thank, first of all. First of all, I want to thank Todd Schaefer, first of all, because Todd has done a good job of putting on an event at our park that has drawn attention from all over Mahoning County. We have all, as a board, visited that park at some time for one of those concerts. And with everything that went on this year especially, our board took it upon ourselves to make sure that we went out and witnessed firsthand what was taking place so that we could make an informed decision on whether or not to continue those concerts and do it safely. Now, as we said, we had people coming from all over: Austintown, Boardman, Canfield, Youngstown. Trustee Kent, while he was out there when Chris Higby was there, was speaking with people from Poland. Just this past week, there was a protest there, and one of the members that came was there to visit a family member here in Austintown, and she comes every Tuesday for the concert in the park. She comes from Pittsburgh to see those concerts in the park and spend time with her family here. So Todd, I want to thank him personally for putting on an event. And number two, I want to thank the bands. Those bands play for very, very little money out there. They come out, they have, I say all the time, I wish I could sing. If I could sing or play an instrument, I'd be in a band. I would love it. I would just love to be on stage and play. So these musicians just blow me away when they come out and can do that. But I want to thank them for being a part of our Concerts in the Park series and doing what they do. I also want to thank our sponsors. None of this is possible without our sponsors. We have sponsors that actually pay for the entire concert series. So we can't do that without them. But about 2 weeks ago, we got a phone call from Ryan Tekak, or an email, I should say, from Ryan Tekak. Now, this all started with it was preluded with an email from an irate resident in another township that wasn't happy that we were having concerts in the park. And so I can tell you that I think there was some confusion amongst our board because we wanted to have these concerts, and the way I understood the guidelines from the governor was that his order was geared more towards the national acts, not a community-based event, and that was up to the local Board of Health. We had not heard anything from our local health commissioner, Ryan Tekak, so that's why we continued them. Now it was brought to our attention through this irate resident, and so now what happens is that we get shut down. So I gotta say, first of all, hats off to Blue Siren. That was the band that was supposed to play. Within about 2 days, the members of that band organized a peaceful protest in our park. And they contacted me and said, would you mind, may we come out and hold a protest? Now, first of all, one thing that we don't like to use our park for is political reasons. However, people have the freedom of speech, and they have the right to go out there and do something like that, as long as it's orderly. And they did a great job of making sure the social distancing was in place, people were wearing masks, and of course, they were using their First Amendment right, their freedom of speech. But they did hold a protest out there of about 150 people to protest the governor's order because the governor has essentially taken away, number one, their ability to make money, whether it's working in a restaurant, a bar, now a local concert venue. And so these people have been without pay, the majority of them since March. And here they are just on a Tuesday night trying to make a couple of $100 to just put some money in their pockets, and they got shut down. So hats off to Blue Siren for holding a peaceful protest. I was very proud of them, but more importantly, I was proud of the residents of Austintown because they came out to support this, as well as members from different communities all over. They came from Boardman, Canfield, once again Poland, Youngstown, Beaver Township, because Beaver holds concerts, and we had people from Camel. They were all the people that were upset that their local concerts got shut down actually came to help protest. So it was very, very nice to see them all come here and support this band. But one thing I want to address is that I was called a bully. I was called a cyber bully, Eric. And so I want to address that just briefly. First of all, I think anybody that knows me knows I'm probably one of the most kind-hearted people. I would do anything for anybody. And even though this woman was from Boardman, that had nothing to do with it. However, there was a complaint filed. And so my phone begins to ring because there was a television station, and I got to thank the media that did a great job of bringing attention to our concerts in the park. But when they attempted to interview the person who sent me the email, she said she didn't want to be recognized through the media. She wished to not be recognized. So, of course, my phone begins to ring and people start to ask. And I'm sure the other trustees filled in some of the same questions. Who is this person? Who is this person? And so after about 20, 25 phone calls, I just said, you know what, enough's enough. Because as much as I realized that when I put my name on the ballot, I basically gave up my freedom of not having my phone ring, there does become a point where I feel I have the right to have and spend time with my family, more importantly, my daughter. And so while I'm trying to spend time with my family and my phone begins to ring and ring and ring, that it just gets to the point that maybe I should tell people how they can file a Freedom of Information Act request. And that is simply, all you have to do, first of all, just so we can clear the air. Some people think it needs to be in writing. It does not. You can verbally ask for information and we can provide it to you. It is also to keep things streamlined. Things are set in place, and this is all on the, if you go to the Secretary of State's website and the Attorney General's website, it will tell you how to do all of this, is that essentially, the idea is that any township employee should be able to provide that information if it's available after it is requested. They do that to streamline things. Now, some people think that the township clerk or administrator has to get it, process it, eliminate a bunch of stuff, and then give it to you. That's not how it works. In certain instances, yes. In this instance, no. So all I did was simply provide information as to how you can file a public information request, and I simply provided an email that was the email that was sent to us of the initial complaint from this woman. And unfortunately, she took a little heat from it. I will tell you, in that time, she has contacted me. We have had some discussions on the phone, and I think she realizes now, after seeing the length that this board has gone to provide a safe environment, just like we talked about our senior center earlier, we want to ensure the safety of the residents. That's it, first and foremost. And once she's seen that, and she saw the videos on television of the protest and how safe people were being, and after some discussion, that she actually offered to pay for the band the money they lost. She offered to pay to find a venue. Now, some of this I think might have been to, take a little heat off of her, but I do give her credit for at least owning up to her mistake of taking away one of our treasures here in Austintown. That's our concerts in the park. One thing I would just want to end in saying this is that we never want anybody to feel that that they shouldn't make a complaint. If you have a complaint, and that was not the intention of this, was to not have people make complaints if there's a legitimate complaint. But most importantly, and we say it all the time, is that if you contact this board, as I said, I received 25 phone calls. I answered every single one that was coming in until I finally said, okay, enough's enough, and I put the information on social media, is that we will take your phone call. If you have a question, call us, we'll answer it, and we try to answer your questions much like we did with Eric here today. And that resolves a lot of problems. Now, if you have a legitimate complaint, though, we do take your complaints, we forward them to the right individuals, and then we resolve those complaints. So, by all means, if you have legitimate complaints, don't take this as that Jim Davis doesn't want you to file complaints and he'll bully you so that you don't make complaints. So I hope everybody understands just why I did what I did, and I hope everybody, maybe tomorrow night, if we can get the governor to come out at 2 o'clock, wine with DeWine, maybe he will come out and give us some orders. We saw the preliminaries, that there is some limited seating capacity, but hopefully we have everything back up and running tomorrow night for the concerts in the park. And then, of course, once we get that order, we already, as a board, have made the decision to extend the concert series into September. And if things go good and the weather's cooperating, we may even go into October. So, all right.
Jim, could I just say
Yes.
one other thing? Everything Jim said was correct. We held a concert in the park, and we felt we were legally doing that simply because it is such a large place. People were 15 feet away from each other. They had masks on, the whole bit. And the problem was that we were looking at 300 people allowed to go to a wedding inside. And then we said with 300 people with this acreage and so on, and we never felt that we were breaking the law. Even our commissioner looked at our position and realized how good it was. But once the call was made, they had to call Columbus, and then Columbus stands, and then all of a sudden we were shocked at their doing. But knock on wood, I think everybody really worked well. And Jim took a lot of heat. He's on the internet.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. All right. At this time, we would ask for a motion to recess to executive session for the following: to consider the appointment, employment, discipline, or compensation of public employees, or preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
In association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.